Welcome to the Pulse Neighbors. I'm Julius Clark, your local Indianapolis realtor, and tonight I am joined by a good friend of mine, Adam Cash, works in the finance field. Adam, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great, Julius. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I know we've been looking to purchase a home together here. Well, you purchased the home, but I've been trying to help you find one here. And this month's all about first-time home buyers. I'm trying to stay uppity tonight, but my Ravens did lose tonight. It was a tough game. Zay Flowers, nothing on him. That was a great drive. Ended up fumbling on the one. And then Lamar, you can count on. I'm a Ravens fan, but Lamar is probably going to throw an interception in a game and, against the Chiefs, especially. So that one really put it in the coffin for us. But next year, it's going to be our year. It's going to be our year. Don't take financial advice from me though, because I didn't do well tonight, to say the least.
Oh, okay. Okay,
uh,
yeah.
Thanks so much for being here, man. We're talking all about first time home buyers. I thought it'd be a great idea to actually have a first time home buyer on and just talk with you through what the process looks like. But before we do that, we need to get to know you a little bit better. What brought you to and got interested in the world of real estate? You don't own a home yet, but you're looking to get one, and you're a little more investment minded than maybe somebody else buying their first home.
Yeah. I mean, like you said earlier, I work in finance, and because of that, I got my college degree in finance as well. So that's what kind of drove me into kind of the more financial and investment um, mindset, I guess. Um, so I'm always interested in learning about everything in the finance field. And then I ended up one day slipping on to YouTube, just random videos here and there, go down the rabbit hole as you always do on YouTube. Got into real estate videos. Then I got kind of onto the kind of house hacking slash investment side of real estate on YouTube. And then from there, I found out about Bigger Pockets. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Bigger Pockets. Most people in the real estate industry are.
It's crucial.
Um, yeah, yeah. So I kind of got in there. I haven't done a whole lot on Bigger Pockets besides just like lurk, I guess, and read other people's stuff. I got a couple books from them too.
What books?
Um, um, I just finished the one. It's called The House Hacking Strategy. Um, what the title says, it just focuses on house hacking. Like you get a duplex, live in one side, rent out the other. And then I actually just got one called the 90-day or Real Estate Rookie, and it's like a 90-day guide.
Yeah,
Um, I just read the introduction of it like yesterday, so
perfect, man.
I'm very new on it. So we'll see how it goes. But the
Yeah.
the first one was very good, and I've always heard good things about the Bigger Pocket books. So
Yeah, keep up that education. I do think that that's definitely been something that set you apart in this whole search. I know we haven't found you something yet, but because you're somebody that's a little more educated on the topic than maybe somebody else just stepping in the ring for the first time, you've been able to take a little more of those punches well and been able to move forward and go on to the next thing because can't get every house out there. It's a really hot market right now, and sometimes we don't even see houses pop up that we want. So you just gotta
yeah,
wait for that perfect house to come up and make sure you're able to execute when that does happen. So I wanted to ask you, how have you been able to kind of get put in that position to pull the trigger when needed?
uh, yeah, that's still a tough question, I guess, because it is still hard just thinking about it. But I think just from my early on experience working with you, it's kind of just having that team, having a good realtor with you, who knows their stuff, knows the areas you're in, knows some things just from looking at the house, that can help point stuff out to you, um, as well as uh, the thing I was most nervous about getting into it all was the financing part of it with mortgages and stuff. And you referred me to a really great resource so far,
Oh, you
Brooke,
can name drop her.
someone you had on the podcast earlier, Brooke Peters. She's been she's been a great resource for me to go to when I have the questions. I was able to do a pre-approval process with her, And she's been really great, making me feel more comfortable with the mortgage stuff. Obviously, it's a very intimidating thing getting locked into a 30-year contract with someone over like $200,000 of a house or something like that. So
Yeah.
but she's made it a smooth process and has been quick to answer all my questions I had. So having a really good team around you, uh, it's definitely making me feel more confident the more we go on with the process.
Perfect, man. Well, touched on how the financing piece was kind of one of the more sketchy parts of getting you into it and you weren't sure about it. What was your picture looking like, and how did you decide to like save up and budget for purchasing a home?
Yeah, I mean, I am obviously, like we've been saying, I'm very into finance, so I'm very on top of like everything. Maybe a little too too obsessed with kind of keeping up with my personal finances and stuff like that. But I'm very big budgeter. Don't really spend money on much besides like food, really. Unless there's something I really need, something breaks and I have to replace it. But um, I mean, my kind of strategy saving up, I use a thing called reverse budgeting. It's kind of a term. It's probably not a super popular term, but it's basically you just automate your savings. So I set like a goal for every month for what I want to save, and um, I use it. I get my paydays are in twice a month, so I get paid twice a month, and I set it automatically to pull from my checking account the day after my payday, um, and so it pulls what the goal I set, just pull straight from my checking account, and then I basically just say that that money's gone, and then whatever money's left in my checking account for that month, that's the money I budget with basically. Then I set a budget off that, as if that's my income. So basically, I'm budgeting for less than I actually make, which for me it's kind of psych- psychological, I guess. It just kind of the money just disappears, and it's into your savings, um, and then I keep up with what my checking account balance is at,
Mm-hmm.
um, quite often. So I know what I have. I don't buy anything I can't afford. That's kind of my process. It it is, like I said, kind of psychological. So it might not be the best option for some people, but it's something that's helped me a lot. And you do got to stay on top of it. But I think it's been a good way to go about things.
Yeah. Obviously, like the end goal for that budgeting and saving up for a down payment is to purchase a house. But did you have
hmm
like other goals within that to help you keep going towards that main objective?
Um, well, I mean, at first out of school, it was at first it started as like getting my emergency fund. That's what everyone always says is the first step. Every financial guru on the internet says you have to get your emergency fund built up. So I started doing that, and I got it. I saved it up kind of quicker than I was anticipating, honestly. So then I kind of motivated me to continue saving more. And I knew in the future, obviously, I wanted to buy a house. I mean, that's a lot of people's goals, obviously, but I was expecting further in the future. Um, and then I kind of got more in with the house hacking stuff, um, and just having that momentum I had from saving up that emergency fund. It kind of helped me continue on and continue pushing towards the next goal, which ended up being kind of a real estate goal. So,
Did you have like an amount set an amount for a goal to save up, or was your goal just to keep building that reserve so that when you were able to use it, it could be as fruitful or as plentiful as you needed it to be?
um, I had an amount for the emergency fund. It was about, I think, all the, like I mentioned, all the financial gurus say 3 to 6 months of your living expense, um, which so I got about 5 months of living expenses on there. So that was really my goal. And then after that, I honestly didn't really have um, a number in mind. It was just kind of building off of it. And like I said, it gets automated. I automated it. So at a point, I just kind of stopped thinking about it, and it just keeps piling up and piling up.
Yep.
Um, because I mean, even still now, I'm still doing it because like I have enough for a down payment on a house, but um, I mean, you can always put more down on a house if it makes it easier. So I'm
Mm.
still saving up. So I mean, obviously, it depends on the price of the house too, if I can afford the down payment. But yeah, it's just still going, and it kind of out of sight, out of mind now with how I have it set up.
Yeah, yeah. I would advise. I mean, I can't advise, but I do think that is a good strategy to take when you're in a job that you're able to get a regular income from. I wanted to speak on how it comes from like a real estate or professional when you don't know
Yeah,
when your paycheck's coming and you don't have uh, the availability to just take something out of your paycheck that comes every 2 weeks. How I do it, it has to become like a lot more psychological and just how I act and spend my money because I do have a certain lifestyle that I want to maintain. It's not necessarily like super gaudy or luxurious or anything, but I do want to spend money on things that are going to make me happy. So what I do is I have a savings account, and whenever I do receive a check that's nice and able able to cover more than just my bills, I try to put like 20% of more than what covers my expenses into that account. I started doing kind of what you did when I was younger and did have W-2 jobs. I
hmm
started out when I was 18. Shout out Bob Brennan, our econ teacher from Zionsville. He got me hooked up in the stock world. The second I turned 18, I got a Robinhood account and started putting in $20 a week. That $20 a week grew to $4,000 pretty quickly investing in just I did ETFs a lot of the time. I did a couple of I didn't ever wasn't able to ever get a full share of Tesla starting off, but I did with Robinhood's what is it fractional investing was able to get a good amount of Tesla, and that did fuel a lot of my gains. But being in real estate, I unfortunately had to sell all of my stocks. The only thing I now own because I wanted to still be in the market because I don't know people like to talk about stocks. I own the stock TKO, the partnership between the WWE and the UFC.
oh yeah,
uh,
that just went up recently
yeah,
from
shout out to Netflix for buying the streaming rights for 10 years for $5 billion. That sounds cheap, in my opinion, for the streaming rights to Raw. Pretty cool.
yeah, yeah.
Pretty.
That was cool news. I saw that last week. I think it was actually.
Yeah, it was. It was. And then hopefully the UFC can help that stock go up as well. But I just have that there to say that I'm in the stock market. I want to say I have an investment there, but it's the way it went.
Yeah,
Want to talk
yeah.
a little bit?
No,
Go ahead, man. Sorry.
I was just gonna say you brought up a really good point. Just like there's obviously like I was saying how I do it, and obviously people have different ways of getting paid, like W-2 jobs or commission or other ways that aren't W-2. And obviously there's a whole different pay schedule. You're not getting paid twice a month every month. It varies. So yeah, it's not gonna work for everyone. You gotta take that into account.
Yeah, and something else I wanted to touch on there, or I didn't want to, but just came to my mind. If you are somebody more in my camp where you're not having a regular paycheck come in, something I was utilizing but haven't now been that I'm more busy in the real estate world is getting a side gig. I would do my advice on something like that. If you do have something you're passionate about that has the potential to be monetized, is find something that's kind of like adjacent to the industry that you're currently in, and it'll help you gain more skills in what you're currently doing and ultimately make yourself a better person to maybe get a pay bump at work someday or just make yourself elevated. I don't ever think it's a bad thing to do that. I was trying to flip furniture a while back. I thought that was pretty real estate adjacent. I guess I do have a side gig. I'm a property manager, but I have not paid myself from my property management yet. I'm still in that phase of building. All of my money has gone towards supplies. Eventually, I will be able to do that. It's not like I'm not making enough money to pay myself, but I think if I'm able to keep all that money in that account and spend that money on those expenses, that I'll be able to grow that business faster to a point that'll be where it's making me more money in a shorter period of time than it would have to be. I don't want to have to wait a whole year rather than paying myself from it. I can put that money in there and I can see results faster. It's been nice so far. It's been able to help me get jobs done faster, just by having the extra reserves around like that. But
Hmm.
having a side gig like that is a great way to not only save up more money, but also just to elevate yourself and your skills. I've loved it so far. Do you have any side gigs, side hobbies you do?
Uh, I don't really right now. I've obviously that's the big thing nowadays, having a side hustle. But I don't have anything right now. Um, I don't really have anything that I've been thinking of either. Honestly, I need to put some more time into it and see if I can come up with anything to go down that route.
Yeah, awesome, man. Wanted to circle back to our discussion on like the home buying process. Your process, it started with self education and a desire to get into real estate. I think you reached out to me. I don't remember if it was on Facebook or Instagram, but you sent me a DM one day and we hopped on the phone, if not that day, a couple of days later, and just kind of talked about real estate. It wasn't about like what you were looking to do necessarily, but just kind of some information on what the market looks like. What does it mean to purchase a home? In that conversation, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't expect you to like move forward so quickly. But because we had that conversation, it helped me understand and be ready for when you did come to me and say, "Hey, like I'm looking to purchase a home." So we went and we got coffee. I showed you how I help you out purchasing a home. We put together a spreadsheet, a search, and we just go and try to see homes. Adam and I have gone to see, I don't know, a handful of homes, probably about 4 or 5 homes now. And they're not homes that we always think are going to be the home that he's going to purchase, but going to go see a house is just a great first step. It gets you in the door and helps you analyze what is in this property that I do like, what's in the property that I don't like, what changes would I need to make in it. Can I even see myself living in this area?
Yeah,
What are some of those things that you've learned going to houses? What you do like and what you don't like in an investment?
going into the houses are always they're always different, obviously, and it's been, I guess, a step out of the comfort zone. I guess it kind of gets you the ball rolling on the whole process. Um, but it's been good to kind of go into the houses. A lot of times the houses you always bring it up to me, like when we send some links back and forth about some houses are like as is condition or have some other weird terms about the sale, so you got to take that into account. But um, it has been good to like kind of just go in and see what are like the typical things that need work, especially on the homes in Indianapolis that we've been looking at. I feel like are definitely all older homes, and a lot of them I've seen. A lot of them have some of the same things that they need work done. I think like the common things we keep running into time and time again is furnaces, roof might need repaired, maybe the basement's a little wet and could have some mold or something. Some of the houses have foundation issues. It feels like those are like the most common things, and it's good to kind of start knowing about what the common things and common issues are
Mhm.
in the houses. So that's been good. Like you said, it's just been good to go in and see, start getting the ball rolling and learning as we go.
Yeah, I wanted to point out you didn't mention a single thing about cosmetics. That's not always the case with a first time home buyer. Some people are a lot more focused on the cosmetics of a house. Maybe could you touch on why that's not like the first thing that pops into your mind on what do you need in a house?
Yeah, I mean, obviously cosmetics are important in the long run, I think, but I'm not overly worried about cosmetics when I'm purchasing, when I'm thinking about purchasing, because I feel like a lot of it is easier to fix. More, it could be more do-it-yourself type stuff, um, cosmetic wise, and you decorate the house how you want to. Kind of take away the attention in some parts and put it in some others, just by like putting decorating and designing with your own like furniture and stuff. Um, but like painting is something easily that you could do yourself. Um, Sometimes just cleaning the place too. Sometimes the houses just need a good clean when you go through them, but um, I think cosmetics, um, like I said, it's kind of a do-it-yourself. It's easier to do it yourself. Sometimes you can't, but easier to do it yourself. Usually less costly, than some of these big things that we're talking about, like a furnace or roof, or foundation issues. Those are my bigger concerns, I guess, at first, just because they're the more costly fixes and the most needed, like immediately needed to be attended to.
They impact the value of the house a whole lot more, for sure.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
sure.
that's
That is one of the benefits of doing a house hack, though. Doing some of the repairs yourself is one going to save you money, and it's going to give you experience if you're somebody that's looking to purchase multiple houses over the course of your journey. It's going to give you experience on how to do those tasks yourself and be able to do them again. You could even, I'm not saying this is where you're going to go, but if you did end up being a big real estate mogul, you would have experience and people could even hire you to do those jobs on their houses in the future. So the world of real estate investing is for anybody that wants to join in. If you find a way to provide value to others in the field, you're going to find yourself friends and you're going to eventually provide value and be successful in the world of real estate. We've looked at primarily duplexes, but we've looked at some single families as well. Actually, I think the only single family that we looked at was, I actually remember the address. It's 6191 Broadway in Broad Ripple, that single family house that had like the little
mm,
kitchenette upstairs.
yes,
You
I
know,
do remember that.
I actually just
Yeah.
recently went back. They did a price drop on that house. It still doesn't make sense to me financially, unless you really wanted to like live there and you had a big family. I think it'd be a great house for that. It's in a great area. But as an investment, it had a couple of things in it that just weren't quite right. The first floor had a kind of funky layout. You had to walk through the dining room to get to the bathroom. So if your
Yeah.
guests were coming over for a meal and one of them had to go up and use the restroom, it would just be awkward for our standards here. It would be kind of weird to do, and that's just one of the things that people don't always think about. I think is also very valuable in going to look at a couple of houses before purchasing one, to see how the layout feels and flows, to see what things are going to be necessary for you to want to purchase the house. A house also had an upstairs that was finished out with a kitchenette and had been used as, I think, a short term rental. They were generating extra profit from turning that into that. It wasn't officially a duplex or anything. It did have zoning that could have possibly made that possible, but it didn't meet a couple of the restrictions on the lot square footage, so that could have made it rough. I did end up being able to go into that garage the last time I was there. Just another thing to point out, that garage had a flat roof, which I pointed out when we were there. It was like,
Yeah, I
that's,
remember
who
that.
knows? Well, I went in and there was some water in there, for sure. So always look out for things that are also outside of the house, like a shed or a garage, because you might end up having to pay to get that thing torn down if you're looking to invest in the property and build it over time. So always good things to look at.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we looked at duplexes and we've looked at single families. I was hoping you could kind of weigh the maybe pros and cons of a duplex house hack and buying a single family house as an investment. It's harder to house hack a single family home unless it has a whole bunch of bedrooms. You can do rent by the room. But in your
hmm
opinion, what are the pros and cons of multifamily properties versus single family properties?
Yeah. I mean, by no means am I an expert. This is all kind of opinions and from what my circumstances hold, I guess,
Yeah.
pros and cons that I see. Um, I mean, I think we've talked. The duplex is kind of my main goal right now, which it's obviously can be tricky because there's less supply of good quality duplexes on the market compared to single family homes. Um, but my main thing is a duplex. I think is my goal right now, and I think the pros for it for me, obviously there'll be two totally separate units, um, and then I would live in one side. And my goal is at a certain point, my girlfriend would move in to that side with me, so me and her would live on one side, and then I would just rent out the other side. Like you said, it's a whole. separate unit, so you're not living with another like random roommates around. It's totally separated, and it can help bring in income to you to pay off the mortgage while you're living there. Um, and then after that, the long-term goal would be after a year or two, maybe more, um, you move out, and then you can rent out both sides. And then the goal is to have both sides rent when you move out, be able to cover the whole mortgage to make it cash flow. So that's obviously my goal. Easier said than done is what I'm finding out right now. But um, and I guess the cons, I guess you got to be the landlord, which
That's a good one.
is similar. It's a con for both of them, I guess. But sometimes a duplex, that's in my mind, just thinking about it in the future, could be, I guess, a little more difficult. You can't go in the other side every single day. Maybe you could, depend on your how you write the lease. I don't know how that all works, but um, and you could just have some other person living on the other side, just trashing the place without you even knowing until the next time you're able to go in. And but that's, I mean, then you go to single family houses. It is harder to house hack. I think house hacking for a single family house is easier if you're kind of like, um, I guess if you're younger and single and kind of living on your own. Um, I guess for me, I didn't think single family house hacking was a possibility. I guess because I'm planning to move in with my girlfriend soon in the near future, and like if I just want to get a bunch of buddies to live in, I don't think my girlfriend would love to live with a bunch of my buddies living in all these different bedrooms across the house. But obviously, a single family, it's very nice because then you don't have to be a landlord if you're living there while you're living there. If you move out and want to keep it as a rental, that'll come back up again. Um, but I think duplexes and triplexes and quadplexes seem to be a lot easier to cash flow and keep long term as investments, to like continuously pay off your mortgage without having to pay more money out of your pocket. It'll just cash flow into your mortgage.
Um,
Hopefully, I gave some good points there. I don't know.
no, you,
It's all opinions, and I was relating it to my situation. Maybe I was just yapping along there.
no, man, you gave pretty valuable perspective. One thing there that I did want to get some more insight from you on was how that conversation's gone with your girlfriend. That can be one of the hardest things when getting into real estate investing is to getting your partner on board with whatever your crazy creative strategy is on how you're gonna get into real estate investing. Did that conversation start like a while ago? Has it happened? How has it gone?
Yeah, it definitely started a while ago. I brought it up, but that was a long time ago, like maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. Um, saying like this is something I think would be cool. It would help us out financially, and we could go with it. And at that point, it was kind of way in the future
Hmm.
thing, so it wasn't very. We probably both didn't think it was very seriously a possibility. Um, and then recently, since I graduated school, um, I've been thinking, oh, I mean, I can do this. Been saving a lot. If I keep saving, I can do it. And then I brought it up. My like the most recent time brought it up was like when that day we went to go get coffee. I brought it up to my girlfriend. I'm like, hey, I'm getting coffee with my friend who's a realtor. We're gonna talk about possibly working together and um, seeing what can go on. And it is a tricky one because we're still not certain, I guess, about um, especially with her job. She's in her final semester of nursing school, so she's not 100% certain of where she'll end up job wise. Um, so that has been a question mark on location wise. So I'm trying to um, find the location that would work for us because that's a big thing. But as well as something that is good to live in, pretty quick off the bat, like doesn't need too much, like maybe just cosmetic works. But um, she's been good. She's been kind of excited about it, I guess, as long as she's trusting me for the most part right now. Since I'd be I'd be buying, I guess, just under my name. She's kind of trusting me on it for now, but she'll get her. I will get her input before I pull the trigger on anything. And I think some of the stuff we've been looking at has definitely been places she would be fine with living. Um, so she's been supportive. Um, but I keep telling her it's for a year, maybe two. It's not our forever home.
Yeah.
That's what I keep emphasizing to her. It's for a year, like a year minimum. Um, a year is our minimum, and once we pass that, we can go on with our lives and figure else something else out.
Yeah, I love that you guys have been able to have that conversation and just bring it up whenever it's relevant and have more conversation on it. Sounds like it's a tricky situation, but you're gonna be able to figure it out as long as you're having that open dialogue. You have
Hmm.
another question mark in your situation, which is a roommate that you currently live with in your lease.
Yes.
Could you talk about that as well? I feel like a lot of people are in that situation when they're purchasing their first home. They probably have a roommate. Getting out of a lease can be tricky. How has that gone? I know it's been a hurdle for you.
Yeah, it is definitely a hurdle. Yeah, you just want to be able to kind of move on, I guess, without screwing anyone else over. Especially a roommate who's a good friend. I can't really screw him over, else he's gonna hate me forever. But and I don't think I will. I think it's, but it has been tricky. Just kind of been locked. You're locked into a lease. Like if I were to pull the trigger on a house today, I would probably just have to eat the costs or kind of figure out a way um, with him. Um, we've talked about this before, trying to talk to him about possibly moving in temporarily into a new place I got and canceling our lease altogether. It's still a tricky subject though, because there's a lot of question marks that he has that I can't answer as of now, because it's really just depends when I get the house.
Hmm.
But then I don't want to get the house without a 100% on board from from a roommate's perspective. So it's a very tricky thing to stepping stone, and it just kind of sucks. I think, yeah, like you said, a lot of people are going to be in the same situation. But I guess when I signed the lease here, I didn't wasn't anticipating getting a house at the end of my lease, I guess. But I guess now we're getting closer to the end of my lease, so the cost I'll have to eat and is dwindling the further we go. But I probably will just have to eat some of the lease at the end, which obviously will suck. But um, I think a lot of people have to do it in their journey at some point, because getting locked into a lease sucks, but um, it's something that a lot of people have to deal with.
Yeah, it's something you definitely got to think about when you're purchasing a home and you're currently leasing. Unless you're living a home, saving money that way, you're likely renting somewhere. As I remember, you guys had pretty favorable terms on what it looked like to get out of your lease, right?
Yeah, it. I have the paper around here somewhere, but I just from the top of my head, it depended how close you were to the end of the lease, and I think starting in a couple days here in February, I'm at the point in the lease where it's all I would have to do would I'd have to pay for February, obviously, and then I would just pay another month's rent. So I'd basically be paying 2 months rent, and my lease ends the end of May, last day of May. So pay 2 months rent and kind of get out of pay February, March, get out of April and May rent, pay 2 months, and then get out of 2 months too. So,
Mm.
um, but yeah, honestly, that is pretty favorable. Like you said, it's the straight, easy payment. You do save money still in the long run. So whenever you can save any money from signing a lease and getting out of it, it's helpful on that end.
Yeah, I think so in Indianapolis more so than other areas too. I'm going to talk about mine in a second because I had that conversation with our leasing department and didn't go the same. But
Yeah.
people need to realize like landlords, if you have that conversation with them, there's a good chance they're gonna have favorable terms in your lease somewhere to get out of it. They're incentivized to get somebody else in there because rent rates have gone up. If you've stayed there for a year or 2 years, the rent amount has probably gone up $50 to $100, and that's more money that they could be receiving for that unit that you're currently staying in. So don't be too afraid to have that conversation if you're somebody out there that hasn't had it already. I went and had a conversation with our leasing department the other week because my girlfriend and I were looking at a job that would require us to live on site. Didn't end up going with that route, but in my conversation with the leasing department, they told me that we can't break our lease and we'd be responsible for paying all of it regardless. So
Mm.
that wouldn't really make sense. Our lease isn't up till June. So if we were to have taken that job, we would have had to continue to pay an exorbitant amount up here in Zionsville for our apartments. While
Yeah.
it could have made sense, and we considered it as well because we have a roommate here, and we wouldn't want to leave him without roommates paying rent. So we would have definitely, even if we didn't have a situation where we couldn't break the lease, we likely still would have just paid our rent and ate that cost. It's kind of an additional moving cost.
Yeah.
Additional moving cost to getting on there, but it
Yeah.
is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It is definitely, like I said earlier, it wasn't something I was thinking about when I signed here. I wasn't thinking about that I would actually be in the position where I was ready to pull the trigger on something by this time. It just goes to show you, if you're interested in real estate at all, like, just take it into account. I guess it is something you have to consider, the timing of it. So it something I will now in the future consider if we get to a point where I have to resign or something, um, which hopefully I don't,
Yeah.
um, but it's just something to take into account for anyone in that situation.
Yeah, I have a client currently, a first time home buyer. We put in our second offer together today, so congrats to them. Hopefully we
Yeah.
get it. It's actually a house hack duplex, so that'd be nice.
Okay.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Cool.
But if they weren't able to get a house by when their lease is up in March, sometimes what you can do with your landlord is work out a month to month lease. That way, you're not having to go sign a whole new 6 or 12 month lease somewhere else and have to worry about breaking another lease. It might be more expensive. It probably will be more expensive to do a month to month. The landlord's going to want to get compensated more for a shorter lease period.
Hmm.
But it would be more economically feasible than having to break a lease. So
Yes.
it's worth it a lot of the times.
Yeah. That's a
So
good point. Yeah.
we're getting close to wrapping up here. I'm curious, is there anything else through this home buying process that you've learned that you didn't maybe had different expectations about before getting started?
Um, I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that I've picked up, I guess, since getting started. I don't know if I'd say it's a lot of stuff I didn't expect. I mean, I guess maybe just since starting with you, I didn't, I guess I didn't know how, like, just easily you could just go and see a house. I thought it was kind of more of a big process of, I know obviously you've mentioned before, some houses have different rules about coming to tour, but I mean, we've gone out and just gone into a house, and then we look at one and you're sitting there right on your phone and you just type it in your phone and it's like, all right, we can go get tour this one too. Like, it wasn't even something we had planned at all. That was something I guess I thought it was more of a process to kind of tour a house. But it's easy to get in the door for most of the houses as long as you got a realtor with you. Um, but as well as a lot of the helping, I guess, with locations too, learning about the areas, and seeing how, like, the prices change depending on the areas. And that's been a big. So obviously, I knew it's more expensive to live in certain points, but just the big price disparity between different areas in the city, um, is an interesting thing for me as well.
Yeah, like that one duplex that was close to Fountain Square, but we get there and
But it
drive
was
around, and it's like,
it wasn't quite Fountain Square.
no, it was not quite Fountain Square,
Oh
especially
yeah,
in
there's
Indianapolis. I don't know. Have you ever heard Indianapolis, the nickname the Spaghetti Bowl? Have you ever heard that?
I have not heard that. No.
Yeah, so I don't know who coined the term or anything, but they called it the spaghetti bowl because our roads just go everywhere all the time. Like, you've no clue where you're going half the time. They just intersect in all these weird ways, but that has like a very big impact on real estate values. and how hard it can be to understand what this house is worth here over on 123 Main Street, and then this house over here on 123 Oak Street. They're only zero point 0.2 miles away, but their markets are just vastly different.
Yeah.
That's even today for me is still a shock. Like I'll think I'll know a neighborhood, and then I go and I'm like, man, I didn't know this street was like this.
Yeah.
You never know, especially in Indianapolis.
Yeah. I think my first like eye open to that was we went and saw that duplex in Irvington.
Across the street from
And it
Irvington.
was literally across the street, like a couple steps across the street, and you're in Irvington. But that one wasn't. It just was a whole, uh, just I guess it felt different too, kind of, and the price was different. Yeah, but that one was a funny one because like you look across the street, oh, there's Irvington. Well, everything's more expensive right over there, but
Yep.
this is not Irvington.
Houses with the same exact layout, same build year, everything. Just the street name has everything to do
Yeah,
with what you're gonna
yeah,
be. Awesome, man. Well, I just wanted to congratulate you on getting the home buying process even started. It's a big feat. It's a really momentous opportunity and moment that's going to happen in your life. Other than getting married and having children, buying a home is 100% one of the biggest things that happens in most people's lives. So just wanted to congratulate you on that, man. You're doing a great job. It's been a minute, but something's going to come up eventually that's the right one. That's typically how it goes. You're going to be in the search for a while. You might get bogged down here and there, but if you didn't end up being the one at the closing table on that house, you just have to keep it in your mind that that house wasn't the one for you, and the one is out there. And I always feel very satisfied when I do have clients that are in your shoes and that have been to multiple houses. I haven't been able to get one, or the right house isn't popping up, and then eventually it's just something hits the market. I send it to them. They're like, "Oh my god, I was literally looking at that listing. Let's go tomorrow, or let's go today.
yeah,
Can you go right now?" Like, yes, please. And that's how this duplex that we put an offer in on today was. We got bogged down, lost out on a couple offers last week, and we're thinking about shifting strategies. They'd already shifted their strategy. Their ideal was a duplex house hack, and this whole past probably 6 months they shifted to looking at single family houses, and this duplex hits the market. I'm like, oh my, your original strategy that we gave up on is here.
yeah.
So always keep
That's
in mind
interesting.
what
Yeah,
you were looking for, because it might come back up even if it's not there right now.
yeah, yeah. It is hard. I guess the duplex market, like we've talked about, is it as as what I've found out so far is it's a lot trickier and a lot more competitive when a good one does come up. Like that one we did tour that one last week or so, and as we were there, um, it got put on pending.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that that was like it's very competitive is what I'm seeing so far. So
Yeah. Any house that's good on the market, it's not lasting max 36 hours. That's what I'm giving them, but a lot of these are going in like 18, 24 hours. It's been wild right
yeah,
now, man.
yeah,
But
definitely.
what are you looking forward to, man? What are you looking forward to?
I mean, I'm looking forward to getting in someplace. It's right now. It's kind of all that's on my mind. I guess it's kind of my goal for 2024 is to get into a place, preferably a duplex, like we've been talking about. Just really my goal for this year. It's my goal financially to kind of get into a duplex, um, be able to actually own it, and kind of put my own touches on a place. As well as kind of learning the landlord game. If it is a duplex, that's something that I would have to learn while I'm doing that. I don't know. It's just a new thing for me, which is kind of um, what for me brings the fun in life is trying new things, um, and we'll see where it goes from there.
I think you're gonna get there, man. 2024 is gonna be your year, just like anybody else that came into the year with the goal. I'm setting the note as positive. If it's your goal to get into a home in 2024, take those first steps like Adam has, and when that right property hits the market, be ready to pull the trigger. You might have to pull it a couple times on different properties, but the goal is to, before you're out of ammunition, to get in that property.
Yeah.
Before we go, man, got some more questions to get to know who Adam is. If the listeners were, well, this is more just for whatever. Anyway, if the listeners were to take away one thing from our conversation today, what would that be, Adam?
Uh, I'd say if you're in a position like me, kind of interested in real estate and you think it's something you could pursue, um, I'd say just take that first step. That was the hardest part for me. I remember reaching out to Julius for the first time about starting to talk about this stuff. That was so intimidating. It's just so hard to take that first step, and you can be stuck for a long time if you're just researching online. I think they talk about it bigger pockets all the time. Paralysis,
Analysis
analysis paralysis.
paralysis.
Um, yeah, that's definitely something I was in for a couple months, and some people can get stuck into it for years. So just if you're ready financially to take that step, just reach out to a realtor and start that process going. It'll like this has been very we've been building on momentum, I guess, with our process, and it's gotten more exciting as the more time that has gone on since I've taken that first step.
Perfect, man. You've been taking great steps. Perfect. If listeners were to find you in your natural habitat, where would you be?
Oh, well, um, probably I guess I would say it's probably something to do with sports, whether it's watching sports. I've been big into going to sporting events in Indy recently. So either at a sporting event or playing some type of sport or just staying active, I guess. I was in a intramural soccer league earlier this year, and then you just go to the gym here and there too. So probably anything to do with sports or staying active is probably my answer to that.
What sports were you in high school? I knew you did cross country. Is that the only one?
Yeah, yeah, just cross country and track, the easy ones. I wasn't enough of a basketball star to be on the basketball
Hey,
team.
we played basketball though. I always enjoyed having you on my team when we had those pickup games.
Yeah, yeah, those pickup games were they were fun. They got very intense for no reason sometimes, but that's how pickup goes.
So, yeah, especially when like Will Alcock or Riley Bertram were in there, like actual basketball players. Everybody wanted to try to show out in front of them. So that was always a fun time, man.
Yeah, yeah, those were fun though.
What are your top three places to go in Indianapolis?
Oh, I would say definitely. I'll bunch it all into one. Any of the sporting venues, Gamebridge, Lucas Oil, Victory Field. I've gone to I went to one Colts game this season. Wish I could have gone to more, but gone to a lot of Pacers games this season so far. And last summer when baseball was still in season, a lot of Indians games were cool to go to. So I'll bunch that into one. Just any of the sporting venues. Um, Number two, probably Mass Ave. I enjoy going anywhere Mass Ave that have a bunch of different unique and restaurants. Some of them are local. There are some chains on Mass Ave still, but mostly are local. I like just walking up and down, trying new restaurants there, or there's a lot of bars you can go to with friends as well. Um, Number three, I haven't gotten there as as often as I wanted to, but Eagle Creek Park is always I like. We used to run there all the time in high school when for cross country, and I had been there within the past like year and a half was probably the last time I went. I need to get there, but life's just been busy. But it is one of my favorite, I guess, because it's so close. You don't have to go too far, and there's a lot you can do there on the water, fishing, hiking, running. Um, so I'd say those would probably be my top three.
Yeah. Thanks for filling us in on what spots we might need to go to here in 2024 to check out.
Yeah,
Why don't you
yeah.
drop? I've already done my top three places a couple of times, but I'm gonna do my top three places that I want to go to more. One
Okay.
of them, number it was I'm not doing it in order or anything, but one of them was Eagle Creek. I'm not too far away from there. I should probably go get like a season pass and go there more with our dog. It's a great place to go hike. I love it there. Number two, similarly to Mass Ave, I've been there quite a lot, got to know the area, but I want to check out Fountain Square more. I haven't done that a lot. It's a little more artsy, a little more cultural there, so I want to get to know that area more. And lastly, I don't remember what I had. I had it picked out, man. I had it picked out. Oh, it was Newfields. I want to get back into the habit of
Oh
going
yeah,
to Newfields. It was easy
yeah,
when I went to Butler. I could literally walk there and I could go in for free. So I think it's been for me. It's like I have to pay to go there now, but it's so worth it. I love the
yeah.
third floor of Newfields. It's my one of my favorite spots. I love the sound room, the one with all the speakers hanging there. Have you been?
I haven't been there in a long time. I went to the Christmas lights they put on
Yeah.
outside, but I haven't been actually like inside the building in a long time.
Yeah, it's a cool little spot, man. Maybe we
Yeah,
can get some people together and go to Newfields, get some publicity for Newfields going.
yeah, yeah.
Heck, man. So, thank you so much for coming on the pod today. I think it's going to be very valuable for first time home buyers to hear the perspective of a first time home buyer on what the process looks like and how to not get bogged down in the process because it can be really overwhelming at first when you're first getting started. So, Adam, thank you so much. Where can listeners find more of you if they want to connect with you and talk about finance or how to go into this process of being a first time home buyer?
I mean, I guess if you want to reach out, I'm on probably Instagram would probably be the best bet. If you want to message me on there, um, I honestly it's a underscore cash seven, I think, or it might.
I'll link
I,
it.
I I'm not even exactly sure,
Awesome.
but I think that's it. I don't. Sometimes the underscore misses me up on where it is, but I think it's a underscore cash seven.
Perfect, man. Is
But
there
that's
anything
probably the best bet. Yeah.
anything you want to share before we get off of here?
No, I don't think. I think we said it. The last thing I wanted to said was that question you brought up about what should you do to be a takeaway, and yeah, my answer is take that first step. If you're ready, and you're just sitting on the sideline, just take that first step and get into it.
All right, man. Thanks so much, and I'll be seeing you soon, brother.
Yep, sounds good. See you soon, Julia.
Thanks, everybody.